He shoved me out of the Christmas table, shouting, "This seat is for my real daughter." 7 years later, I came back, and what I discovered changed everything. The snow had been falling steadily for hours, blanketing the little town in white. I hadn't seen it like this in years. The streets were quiet, save for the crunch of my boots against the fresh snow as I walked up the familiar path to our old house. Every step felt heavier than the last, weighed down by memories I hadn't touched in 7 long years. The house looked smaller than I remembered, as if time had pressed down on it, squeezing out the warmth I once felt here. The windows glowed softly with the golden light of Christmas decorations. Icicles hung from the roof like fragile teeth, glittering in the weak winter sunlight. I paused at the gate, letting my eyes linger on the familiar shapes, the swing set in the yard, the garden I had planted with my mom when I was a child. Everything looked almost the same, yet different, like a painting someone had tried to restore but couldn't quite get right. I took a deep breath and tried to push back the memories, but they were already flooding in. I remembered the last Christmas I had spent here before everything changed. I was 16. I had been full of hope and excitement, the way teenagers are, believing in family and warmth. But that night had been different. That night had shattered me. I had walked into the dining room, ready to sit with everyone, and before I could even place my coat on the chair, he, my stepdad, had shoved me roughly aside. "This seat is for my real daughter. Get out." His voice had been loud, sharp, cutting through the laughter and clinking of silverware like a knife. I had frozen, the room spinning, the warmth of the fire turning cold and threatening. The pain of that memory made my chest tighten. I had left that night and never come back, not for birthdays, not for holidays, not for anything. 7 years had passed, and I had lived with that pain every single day. But now, something inside me had shifted. I wasn't that scared 16-year-old anymore. I wasn't a powerless child who could be shoved aside. I stepped forward, gripping the strap of my bag tighter. The door was heavy, cold against my hands, and when I opened it, the scent of pine and cinnamon hit me instantly. The familiar smell of the Christmas tree mixed with the faint smell of my mother's perfume. My stomach nodded. For a moment, I considered turning back, walking away and letting them live in their perfect, fake world. But I couldn't. I had to face it all. I had to see her, my mother, and him, the man who had made me feel invisible in my own home. The dining room was brighter than I expected. A fire crackled in the fireplace, casting golden shadows across the walls. The table was set perfectly, the plates and glasses gleaming. Red and green decorations hung from the ceiling and lined the mantelpiece. Everything screamed warmth and celebration, but it wasn't for me. It hadn't been for a long time. And there she was, my mother. She looked older than I remembered, her hair streaked with grey, the lines around her eyes deeper than I had imagined. She was sitting at the table, hands folded neatly in her lap, looking at the empty chair in front of her. My chest ached seeing her like this, so familiar, yet so distant. I wondered if she had thought about me at all during the years I was gone. Then I saw him. My stepdad. The same sneer, the same controlling posture, as if he owned not just the house but the entire world inside it. My heart raced, and a wave of old anger washed over me. I remembered every insult, every shove, every word that had made me feel smaller than I was. But I also felt something new, strength. I was no longer that scared child. I had grown, and I was coming back on my own terms. I paused just inside the doorway, taking in the scene. The warmth of the fire didn't reach me. The laughter and chatter I could almost hear from the room beyond felt distant, like I was watching a play from backstage. I could see her glance up, catching sight of me. Her eyes widened for a brief moment. Recognition, or maybe surprise. "Mom," I said softly, my voice trembling just enough to betray the storm inside me. She looked at me for a long moment, her lips parting slightly. You came back," she whispered, her voice almost lost beneath the soft hum of Christmas music playing from a stereo. I nodded, swallowing hard. I had to. I set my bag down quietly and stepped further into the room. Every step felt heavier than the last, but I kept going. I could feel his eyes on me, sharp and cold. He didn't say anything yet, just stared, as if trying to decide whether to push me away again. I could almost hear the echo of his words from 7 years ago. "This seat is for my real daughter. Get out." I stopped a few feet from the table. I wasn't going to fight. I wasn't going to shout or scream. I just wanted to see her, to understand why she had let him treat me that way, why she had let me leave and disappear from her life. The memories kept surfacing, me standing in the snow that night, tears freezing on my cheeks, feeling invisible and unloved. And yet, here I was, standing taller, stronger, ready to face the ghosts of that Christmas. For a moment, the room seemed suspended in time. Snowflakes tapped against the windows like tiny whispers, reminding me of all the years lost. I could hear the faint ticking of the clock on the wall, marking every second I had been away. My fingers trembled slightly, but I forced myself to take a deep breath. "Sit," she said finally, her voice barely above a whisper. She motioned to the chair across from her, and I felt a pang of something I hadn't felt in years: hope. Not happiness, not relief, just a fragile hope that maybe, just maybe, things could be different now. I nodded again, slowly, and lowered myself into the chair. The wood was cold beneath me, and I could feel the weight of the past pressing down on my shoulders. But I didn't pull away. I stayed. I was here. And as I looked at her, really looked at her for the first time in 7 years, I realized something. This wasn't just a Christmas dinner. This was a reckoning. A chance to face the past, to confront the hurt, and maybe, just maybe, to take back the part of my life that had been stolen from me. I could feel his gaze on me, heavy and unrelenting, and I smiled just a little, the first real smile I had allowed myself in years. Not a happy smile. Not even a friendly one. It was a smile of quiet determination. A smile that said, "I'm here. And I won't be pushed aside again." The snow continued to fall outside, soft and relentless. Inside, the room was bright and warm. But for the first time, I didn't feel small. I didn't feel invisible. I felt like I had finally returned home, not as a scared child, but as someone who had a voice. Someone who had a right to be here. And in that moment, with the fire crackling and the faint scent of pine in the air, I made a promise to myself. No matter what happened next, I wouldn't leave again. This time, I would stay. And this time, I would be seen. I sat at the far end of the dining table, my hands folded on my lap. The chair felt foreign beneath me, yet familiar, like a memory I had buried under years of hurt. My mother kept glancing at me, her eyes softening, but her expression was guarded, like she wasn't sure if I was really here or just a ghost of the past. The smell of roasted turkey and warm bread filled the room. Steam rose from the plates, curling toward the chandelier above. The sound of silverware clinking against plates echoed faintly in my ears, but I barely noticed it. My mind was elsewhere, replaying that Christmas 7 years ago, when everything had broken. I remembered the look on his face that night, his smirk as he shoved me from the table, the way he spoke as if I had no right to exist in that room. "This seat is for my real daughter. Get out." The words had burned into my memory, sharper than fire, leaving me frozen in shock. I had run out into the snow, my coat barely wrapped around me, tears mixing with the cold flakes on my face. I hadn't cried like that before or since. That night had defined me for years. Now, sitting here, I felt that old hurt flare up, but it was mixed with something else, curiosity, and a quiet, simmering need for answers. I wanted to know why my mother had allowed it. Why she had let me walk out of my own home and never called me back. She finally broke the silence. You look different," she said softly, almost hesitantly. Her voice trembled slightly, betraying nerves she had tried to hide. I shrugged, trying to keep my tone casual, even though my chest was tightening. "I've changed a lot in 7 years." Her lips pressed together, and she looked away, her gaze dropping to the plate in front of her. "Yes, you have." The words were polite, careful, but something in them made my stomach twist. There was distance there, a wall I wasn't sure I could penetrate. And then I noticed it, the hesitation in her eyes, the way her fingers trembled slightly as she adjusted her napkin. Something was off. She was holding back. I decided to press, slowly, carefully. "Mom, do you remember that night?" My voice was quiet, but it carried more weight than I intended. Her face went pale. She blinked rapidly, then nodded, swallowing hard. Yes. I remember." I took a deep breath, trying to control the rush of anger and hurt that had been simmering for years. You know I didn't deserve it. Not then. Not ever. Her eyes welled up, and she looked down at her plate, biting her lip. I know you didn't." Her words were small, almost whispering, but I could feel the tremor behind them. The guilt she carried was tangible, like a shadow hovering over her. And yet, she still wasn't telling me everything. There was a secret there, something she was keeping hidden, and I could feel it in the air. I leaned forward slightly. Mom, what happened after that night? Why didn't you stop him? Why didn't you call me back? She flinched, her hands trembling as she folded them tightly on the table. I thought it was better if you stayed away. I thought it would be easier for you. Easier. The word felt bitter in my mouth. Easier for whom? Him. Herself? Me. I clenched my fists under the table, trying to keep my voice calm. You thought it would be easier for me to be abandoned. She didn't answer. She looked down, blinking back tears, and I realized she was struggling with a truth she hadn't wanted to share. The room felt smaller suddenly. The fire crackled, but its warmth couldn't reach the tension between us. The faint hum of the Christmas music seemed louder now, as if mocking the silence that had stretched between us for 7 years. I thought back to the night I left, the snow freezing my tears to my cheeks, my coat soaked and my heart broken. I had wandered the streets aimlessly, trying to make sense of it all. I had felt invisible, unwanted, like I had no place in the world. And here I was now, sitting at the same table, 7 years older, stronger, ready, but still waiting for answers. Finally, she spoke again. I thought you'd hate me forever if I told you everything. I didn't know how to fix it. I didn't know how to make it right. I studied her face, trying to see the truth in her eyes. Her lips trembled, and a tear slid down her cheek. But the hesitation, the fear of telling me more, was clear. She was holding something back, a secret buried under layers of guilt and shame. I don't hate you, I said softly, surprising even myself. I just want to know why. Why all of it? Why he treated me like that? Why you let him? Her hand shook as she clutched the edge of the table. It wasn't what it looked like, she whispered. It wasn't just about you. I froze, my heart skipping a beat. Not just about me. What could that possibly mean? My curiosity mixed with a surge of anger. Then what was it about? I asked, my voice low, almost cautious. She looked at me, eyes full of tears now, and I could see the fear in them, the fear of the truth being exposed. There's something I didn't tell you back then. Something I should have, but I was scared. I thought if you knew, it would ruin everything. I leaned back slightly, trying to process her words. Everything? What could possibly have been so important that she let me walk away and suffer for years without even a phone call? The tension in the room was thick, almost suffocating. I could feel his eyes on me again, sharp and cold, watching my every move. But now I realized something else. He wasn't the only one keeping secrets. She was too. And whatever it was, it had shaped the last 7 years of my life in ways I couldn't yet understand. The conversation paused. Only the soft crackle of the fire filled the silence, mingling with the distant sound of wind rattling the windows. I studied her face, searching for the truth, feeling the weight of years pressing down on us both. Finally, I spoke, my voice firmer now. Mom, whatever it is, I need to know. I can handle it. I have to know. I can't keep living with the questions. Her eyes met mine, full of pain and hesitation. And in that moment, I knew she was hiding something. Something big. Something that had nothing to do with me being a stepchild, and everything to do with the life she and he had built behind my back. I could feel my pulse quicken, a mix of fear and anticipation. The truth was close. It was there, just beyond the next word she would speak. And I knew, whatever it was, it would change everything. The snow outside had stopped falling, leaving the world outside calm and white. But inside, the storm was just beginning. The kitchen was quiet, almost too quiet. The rest of the house was filled with laughter and the clinking of dishes. But here, with the door closed behind us, it felt like a different world. The air smelled faintly of cinnamon and vanilla, leftover from the desserts cooling on the counter. I could see the steam rising from the coffee cup she had made, twisting in lazy spirals. I leaned against the counter, my arms crossed, studying her face. She looked tired, older than she should, worn from years of holding secrets. Her eyes were red, and her lips trembled. There was a hesitation in her posture, a pause before every movement, like she was afraid the wrong word would break everything. You've been hiding something from me, I said softly, almost a whisper. Something big. I can feel it. Her fingers fidgeted with the edge of the cup. She didn't answer right away. I could hear her heartbeat in the silence, fast and uneven, matching my own. I could see the conflict in her eyes, the struggle between wanting to protect me and wanting to tell me the truth. Finally, she sighed, a long, heavy sound. You were never meant to find out like this, she said, her voice breaking. But maybe it's time. I swallowed hard. My stomach churned with anticipation and fear. Tell me. Please. I need to know. Her hand shook as she put the cup down. She leaned against the counter, staring at the floor for a moment before looking up at me. It's about your stepdad, she began. It's not what you think. That night, when he pushed you, it wasn't because you weren't his real daughter. It wasn't about you at all. I froze. My chest tightened. I could feel every memory of that night, every humiliation, every tear, coming back like fire. Then why? Why did you let him? She shook her head, tears spilling down her cheeks. I didn't know how to stop it. I was scared. I thought I was protecting you, but in the process, I let him control everything. But it wasn't about you being less than anyone. It was something else. My pulse quickened. My mind raced. What could possibly justify that kind of cruelty? 7 years of pain, abandoned, unseen. What could explain that? She took a deep breath and looked me straight in the eyes. He had another daughter. A child he adopted without telling me. A secret. He was afraid you would find out. That's why he pushed you out that night. Not because you weren't enough. Because he was scared you'd uncover the truth about her. I blinked. My throat went dry. My stepdad had a child. A secret child? My mind spun with the implications. The anger, the betrayal, the years of humiliation. It all came rushing back, sharper than ever. You mean, all this time, it wasn't me? It wasn't about me? I asked, my voice trembling. She shook her head slowly. No, it wasn't about you. He was afraid. Afraid that if you stayed, you'd uncover everything. And I didn't know what to do. I thought keeping you away would protect you. But I was wrong. I only let the lies grow. I let him control you. I let him take your place in your own home. The words hit me like ice. 7 years of pain, humiliation, and anger, directed not at me, but at the shadow of a secret he had been carrying. And my mother, she had been complicit, protecting him, protecting that secret. I felt my hands tighten into fists at my sides. And what about me? What about my life? What about all those Christmases I spent outside in the cold, wondering why my own mother didn't care? She looked down, unable to meet my gaze. I can't take back what happened. I can't fix it. But I want you to understand. I didn't stop you because I didn't love you. I stopped you because I was scared. Scared of what the truth would do to all of us. I swallowed hard, trying to keep my anger under control. But the truth was like fire inside me, burning through the years of pain. The injustice, the humiliation, the betrayal, it was all real. And now I had the power to do something about it. Not with violence, not with revenge that would ruin me, but with something sharper, something he could never anticipate. I stepped back, letting the words settle between us. Mom, I get it now. But that doesn't mean I'm going to stay and pretend like nothing happened. That doesn't mean I'm going to give him the satisfaction of thinking he controlled me for all these years. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. I understand. I'm so sorry. I looked at her, really looked at her, and for the first time in years, I felt a sense of clarity. I had spent so long feeling powerless, but now I understood the truth. And the truth gave me a strength I hadn't had before. I'm going to leave, I said softly. Not because I hate you or because I can't forgive, but because I'm taking back what's mine. My life, my future, my choices. Her lips trembled, and she reached out, but I shook my head. This isn't about punishment, Mom. It's about me reclaiming what was stolen. I walked to the living room, feeling the weight of the house, the memories, and the secrets pressing down on me. I didn't say goodbye to him. I didn't need to. The look in my eyes was enough. He knew I understood everything now. The anger, the lies, the hidden child. He had no control over me anymore. I went to the hall closet and pulled out the papers I had brought with me. The house, the inheritance, the small fortune I had quietly saved over the years. I had the power to make a decision, and I made it carefully, methodically. I sold it. Every piece of property, every item that tied me to that house, gone. He and his real daughter would have nothing to show for their years of control. The fire crackled behind me, the light flickering across the walls, but I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The past 7 years, the pain, the secrets, the betrayal, they were all behind me now. And for the first time, I felt free. As I walked out into the cold night, the snow crunched beneath my boots. The town was silent, blanketed in white. The lights of the houses glimmered softly, but I didn't feel their warmth. I had my own warmth now, the warmth of truth, the warmth of control reclaimed, the warmth of power that wasn't taken from me. I whispered to myself, letting the words drift into the quiet night. Some seats aren't meant to be taken, but some can be taken back. The wind blew gently, scattering snowflakes across the road. And I realized something. I didn't need revenge the way he might have imagined. I didn't need anger to define me. The real revenge was my life, my choices, my freedom, and nothing could take that away from me again. For the first time in years, I felt at peace. The past had been cruel, the secrets heavy, and the pain real, but now I had reclaimed my story. My stepdad's fear, his lies, his control, they were powerless against me. I was no longer the scared child who had been shoved from the Christmas table. I was me, strong, unbroken, and free. And as the snow continued to fall, soft and unrelenting, I smiled, quietly, but fully, knowing that I had finally taken back the seat that had always been mine.